Hey guys, my name is Shike, aka Steve, and today I'm going to bring you a tutorial for After Effects. I personally am using CC 2014, so it is a little bit outdated, but the premise is going to be the exact same for the newer versions as well. Today what we're going to be bringing you is motion tracking. This is from Rocket League, that's where this footage is from, and my boy Colton, Cole2K, definitely go check him out, asked me to do a introduction for his Hardwood Heroes Hoops series that is going to be coming out soon. So figured I'd make a tutorial, and so let's get into it. So pretty much when it comes down to motion tracking, the whole idea is to make something that's not there look like it's supposed to be there, right? So this is the original footage, nothing's there at all, and bring it back, put everything back together. Now it looks like it's supposed to be there for the most part. So first thing you're gonna do is, to get started, ignore this circle by the way, that'll be at the end of the video, I'll get to it. First thing you're gonna do is, with your footage, bring it in, start a new composition, and make sure the footage is how you want it to be. So right here at the beginning there's no motion. I want it to start as soon as it starts moving. So cut the footage there, that's going to be Alt left bracket for a shortcut, and then we'll get to the end and we're going to bring it right back to this position, just so it looks like it's a full circle. So boom, Alt right bracket to end it, and then I'm just going to bring this in, trim comp to work area. So now this is going to be our base footage that we have, simple as that. Now what we're going to do is track camera, literally that's it. Now we just wait a little bit. Now that we've got 10 seconds left, we're back. And most motion tracks shouldn't take too long. Of course, it depends on your footage that you're using, how much is going on in it. This is pretty basic, pretty simple. There's about 430 frames. So what we're going to look at now is, I'm going to just make these a little bit bigger so you can see them better. We're going to be looking at which points stay on the screens the entire time, right? So for example, let me just bring it in here. Right now I'm looking at these three in particular. They're in the center of the screen. So far they haven't moved, and still good, still good, still good. And then right there is where it cuts out. So that's absolutely fine, because that's when we'll move on to making this screen. So what we're gonna do here is select the three. You just click and shift, or sometimes it'll just give you the option to make, well, I just call it a target. It'll just give you the option for the target right there. But what you're going to do is right click. I did create solid, because what we're going to be doing is taking this blue little square and replacing the screen with it. First thing I'm going to do though, as soon as it gets to the point where it's going to be cut off, Alt right bracket, cut it off, so we don't have to worry about it later on. Right, so actually one more frame, never hurts. There we go. So now in order to change the color, we're just going to go to layer, solid settings, and then we can make it the same color as the screen. If you really wanted to, you could do that. What I personally did in the old one, or in the one that I showed you guys, I just did a simple black one. So now that you have the color that you want, I'm just gonna make it as big as the screen goes actually. Alright, so as big as the screen is, actually a little bit bigger, because what we're gonna be doing is masking out the screen essentially. So right now we can see that the box moves as if it were a screen, It just doesn't look like it's one, right? So it cuts off right there, perfect. So what we're gonna do to mask is, I'm gonna press G, that's the pen tool, which is up here. And what I like to do is hide it, so then you can just literally click, bring it down. I'm actually gonna do it a little bit differently this time and expand it on the outside, just because I think it'll look better with the colors. Move this in a little bit. Actually, no, let me move this one out a little bit. Okay, so now that we have our mask on, let's just make sure it looks perfect with the motion track, right? So that's good news. Boom. Should be as simple as that, right? So now it looks like it's supposed to be there. Like I said, you can, if you want, of course, cover the whole thing so it does look like the entire screen is not discolored in any way, shape, or form. And see things right here. If you're very serious about the edit, you're gonna have to go step by step, look into each corner, make sure it all looks right. Because that's the point of motion tracking, is to make it look like something's there that's not there, which I personally find very neat. And that's why I'm such a fan of making a tutorial on it, so other people can get out there and start doing stuff like this. So now that we have that, that's pretty much the base of motion tracking, at least on this level. There's always crazier stuff that you can do. But next thing I'm going to do is actually hide this again, go to the footage and press render track points and unclick it because you don't necessarily need it. Rendered, so then it'll show it, but I'm going to choose the same 3 points and then we're going to do create text. Right, so creating text is simple as that. Let's do After Effects, type that out, move it up, resize it to make it look a little bit better. Well, first let's pull up the screen. Right, and we're gonna make the z-axis pull it out just a tad. I don't know if you saw that, but if we undo, see how it's literally the same distance or the same z-axis as the screen. So in order to fix that, we're just gonna pull it out the tiniest bit, so now it looks good, right? Oh, see the difference right there. And to be honest, I just don't like how spaced out this is, so I'm gonna pull up the character properties and give it a pixel that I want, 84. Also want it to be a little bit bigger. Boom, After Effects. Right, so now we're gonna do the same with the text as far as the screen goes. Alt right bracket to cut it off there so it doesn't look like this, right? You don't want it to look like that. So we're gonna bring it back, Alt right bracket to cut it. Now, we're just gonna do the same thing. Boom, render track points, very simple. And at this point of the tutorial, it's pretty much just going to be going over the same thing, but instead of going back and rewatching it, you can just continue along if you need to learn how to do it. So again, we're looking for 3 points right in the middle. I'm looking at red, blue, and blue. See how right here, it'll actually show you the target automatically, but I want these 3 points. Create another solid, and now, I always like to do it first is cut off where the screen appears and disappears. So right here is just about where it should be showing up. The second screen should be showing up, right? So when you come around, you can start seeing it. Bring it to the end over here. And that's when you should stop seeing that screen. So to change it up, Control-Shift-Y is the shortcut for solid properties, which is great. And then we're just gonna do the same thing, make it big. I'm gonna hide it, press G for the pen tool, corners, corners, oops. Let me see how that looks. It looks pretty solid. Right there might be a little bit funky. Let's see. Whoops. I'm actually gonna choose, whoops, the same color as this one. I don't know why it looks a little bit off black, but it's always better to keep it uniform. So boom, there we go. Now we're just gonna scroll through, make sure it looks good. Right there, it looks a little bit funky. Accidentally keep clicking with the pen tool. Bring it back. So, just like that. Very simple thing. Now we're just gonna click back onto this, render track points. I'm gonna hide this screen. And if you really want to be, you know, an organized editor, then you'll rename your screens. You'll keep organized. So now what we're gonna do is, you have to be selected on the actual footage itself, by the way, to choose the points. And you'll notice I keep clicking render track points because when you click away, it won't show them. So I click it, unclick it. Makes it very simple. And we're gonna do the same 3, boom. Create text, simple as that. We're gonna bring it, same beginning, same ending. And now Control T for the text tool, After Effects tutorial. Min tutorial. Hopefully it's 10 minutes, right? Bring it back a little bit. Show the screen. See how this is a little bit wacky. I guess I didn't choose the exact same 3 points. But since it is like this, this is going to be a good time to show you rotation in After Effects in 3D motion tracking. So your y-axis, very basic. Z-axis is going to do a twirl. X-axis is going to be back and front, very simple. So this one is need of a Y rotation and then pull it out a little bit. Alright, so we do have to pull it out a little bit more. And then we just want to make sure it looks good. Yeah. So let's do this 3rd screen, 4th screen really quick just to go through, and we can continue this tutorial. Or we can start wrapping up this tutorial. So again, render, unrender, check which points are there. You don't have to do it every time. As long as you have a good motion track for the most part, you'll be pretty solid. No pun intended right there as I click solid. Haha. And enter right there, alt left bracket. Enter right. If you do want to go pixel by pixel, by the way, page up, page down is huge. So again, Control Shift Y is going to be the properties. Boom, boom. Zoom out a little bit. And just make a really big box. It doesn't matter how big it is as long as it covers the total area that you need. But G for pen tool. Click, 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 click. Right? Right there, it looks a little bit funky. Let's bring that in. It looks a little bit funky right there too, so we'll bring that in. Now we'll show the screen that we just masked out. I keep forgetting that this is not quite Control-Shift-Y, it's not quite fully black, so we gotta keep it that off gray, or off black, I guess you could call it. So yeah, you always want to check and make sure that your masks are good. Sometimes they'll turn out just a little bit funky, since it is not the same as editing in 2D setting. It's just not the same idea, but it's definitely just not the same. Not the same. Right. Okay, so this is interesting. Right here we have a little bit of dilemma. Right, you can see that bottom right corner looks a little bit funky the entire time. So what we can actually do is, if we go down to the mask, right, and where does it start? I mean, it's just weird the entire time. Actually, bring it out, rotate it back a little bit. Alright, and then you just gotta make it look natural. Keep messing with this bottom right part. Right, so that looks pretty solid. Again, no pun intended. Select the footage again, render track points, unrender them, so you can actually click them, create text, motion tracking. Again, beginning, and alt open bracket, alt close bracket, left, right, whatever you want to call it. We'll bring it, scale it down so it looks natural. Okay, and since it's a little bit hidden, we'll pull on the Z. See how it comes out a little bit, not even, but it does look fine, right? What I was gonna say is we can rotate it back since it's not coming out all in one, but it's all good. So yeah, and that's the premise of it. Third time is the charm, so I'm gonna cut the tutorial there. We also have to keep it under 10 minutes or by 10 minutes. So bring these two back. Trim comp to work area. Now we're just gonna do a quick RAM preview, make sure it looks all good, and then that'll be the end of this tutorial, guys. Thank you for checking in. More tutorials to come. If you have anything specific that you want to see or learn about, definitely comment on down below and we'll get to that as soon as possible, as long as I know how to do it. But yeah, so it's not the cleanest. If I spent more time cleaning it up, it would look a lot better, of course, but this is the very basic premise of motion tracking. So it's a really useful tool to have as an editor. You can do some really neat things with it, and yeah, but I do want to do a sneak preview really quick, right? How I showed you circle at the beginning, we're gonna show it. Okay, so I do want to do a tutorial in the future of how to do this. Autosave, that's huge. Don't forget, Control S, save. Always do saves incrementally. But notice how the top is now completely blacked out, right? So that's really neat. You can do some sweet things with that. For example, put this in here. Right, so imagine you have text scrolling across the top. You have your board saying different things. You know, it's just a really neat idea right there. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll check you next time.